Hey everyone, Chris Stegall here with MK Partners, coming to you today with another quick 5-minute how-to tutorial for Pardot. Today we're going to be talking about how to segment lists with completion actions and why that's useful on campaigns. So to begin with, it's something that's tremendously useful if you're trying to build a little customer journey. Make it personalized, make sure that nobody receives the same messaging twice or receives irrelevant information, but specifically with journeys that are going to have a definitive start and a finish, not a full prospect lifecycle journey. So for the example today, we're going to talk about one of the use cases I have, which is webinars for the apps that we build. When we get new installs, once a month, we like to send out an email that says, hey, we noticed you installed the app. Feel free to join us for office hours. We'll walk through some of the beginner questions, answer questions that you might have, provide a little support, and give people a little more hands-on support than the typical product on the App Exchange. So I figured I would mock up November's invite here and then show you how I use lists, segmentation, and completion actions in Pardot to help me shape the customer journey, the prospect journey here. So let me go large screen. Actually, let me start with a sort of a diagram understanding of this. So each of these buckets are the lists. You have to set up your lists ahead of time in Pardot. That way you can tell the completion actions where to point. So knowing that I'm going to have this webinar hosted, our list is going to start with all the people that have recently installed the app. From there, we're going to email that list of folks and say, hey, you're invited to the monthly webinar. Here's the date and the time. Here's a link to register if you're interested. When those people open that email, I want to move them into this bucket that says they've opened the email. That'll be another list. That way, as we get closer to the event, I can reach out to these folks again that didn't open that first email. Maybe they missed it. Maybe they were in a different time zone, so it came at an unusual time. But that way we can send a second round like, hey, just in case you missed it, you're invited to this event, to these people, and try to encourage them again to move buckets. For the people that did open the email, landing pages completion actions will move them off of this email list and into the register email list. And then when it's actually the day of the event, if there's a lot of ways to get them into Pardot. Obviously, you're not going to be hosting your webinar in Pardot or your virtual event. But if it's on Zoom or Google Meet, then you have a link. If you put that link behind a custom redirect, like we talked about last video, then you'll be able to use completion actions on that. So you get people that registered and move them out of there into attended. That way, we can do a different email for each of these buckets leading up to and following the event. So people that have recently installed it get the email invitation. If they open that, they go into the open the email bucket. If they opened, but they didn't register, as we get closer to the event, we can send these people an email that says, hey, just wanted to remind you, if you were interested in that webinar, it's coming up. Again, here's a link to register. Try to encourage them to move into this bucket. The folks that registered can get an email the day before or a couple days before saying, hey, here's a reminder. The event is happening, the date and time, relevant links, any preparation they would have to do, things they would have to bring, what to expect. All of that goes out to the registered folks. And then for your folks that attended, afterwards you can send them an email saying, hey, thanks for joining. Here's what we talked about. Here's the materials that were promised on the call. And we have an opportunity to go back to those folks that registered but didn't attend and send them an email that says like, hey, sorry to have missed you. Here's a recording of the webinar. Here's some of the highlights that you missed. And if you want to join next month, here's the opportunity to do so. So these segmentation lists, these buckets, give us a lot of power to control and personalize the message based on the experience the person has had without having to deal with a journey builder or a more robust, set it up once and let it run kind of system. This is great for one-off events where I just want to have a few lists to manage. I can visualize my buckets, craft the content for each of them, and then send it out accordingly. So what does that look like in Pardot? If I go to my emails, I made a little sample for the November invite that, obviously we haven't started pushing it. We just had today's webinar this morning. So next week we'll begin the invites for November. Here on the draft page, you can see our completion actions. On open, we want to move them off of the Mambo Merge new installs list and onto the Mambo Merge open house invite opened list. And here, let me show you what the email looks like a bit. And we're to edit the completion action. So up here in the top right-hand corner, if you go to edit draft, you'll be able to edit the completion actions in the sending tab. But if you want to jump straight to completion actions, you can click right there and it'll take you actually to the sending tab. So that button is really a straight to the sending tab page as opposed to the straight to the completion actions page. Here you can see we're on our sending tab. You see a little preview of the email. Again, this is October's email because I cloned it over just for the sake of this call. And then down here in completion actions, we want to take action when a prospect opens the email. We'll add them to the list, Mambo Merge Open House Invite Open, and remove them from the list, Mambo Merge New Installs. And it is important to mention, removing from the list is an important step in this process because you don't want to just add them to a list that if you do that, they'll be both on the invite opened list and they'll remain on the new installs list. So if you go do a second round of, hey, in case you missed it, emails to that original list again, you're going to hit this person that opened it. They're going to be like, I didn't miss this email. I opened it. I wasn't interested. Spam. So in efforts to avoid spam and clogging up people's inboxes, always make sure to remove from the list when you're doing segmentation like this. The last thing you want to do is, have this guy duplicated and now he's in both buckets getting messaging for two different groups of people. So in our email, we have the register now button that will take them to the landing page. That landing page then has its own completion actions, and you'll see here, add them to the list Mambo Merge office hours, remove them from the list, but they opened the invite. That office hours list, that's going to be our registered section here. And then let's say we wanted to go ahead and create this attended bucket. That would be as simple as, we're going to do a custom redirect, like we talked about using the Zoom link. So let's add a custom redirect here. So for this custom redirect, we'll give this a name. Let's call this our November office hours webinar attendance logger. Nice short name there. The destination URL, this is going to be the meeting link. So the Zoom, the GoToMeeting, the Google Hangouts. It's probably something like zoom.com/gibberish. The vanity URL, though, is the one that you're going to present in the email, the landing page, the calendar invite, etc. And that's the one where you have some freedom to be a little bit more explanatory. So we'll call this Mambo Merge office hours November. And then down here, you'll find the completion action. So remember, we want to do a add to list, and we also want to do a remove from list. So the list we'll be adding them to is the Mambo Merge attended, there we go, Mambo Merge November attended, and we're going to remove them from that registration list, which was Mambo Merge office hours. Create the custom redirect. Have to assign it to a campaign, even when you're doing an example. Okay, so let's go to my marketing outreach, app exchange apps, Mambo Merge. Let's just put it in that one. Okay. Thanks for keeping me honest, Pardot. Now we have our custom redirect created. I can go ahead and use this news.mkpartners/mm office hours November link in my reach outs. Calendar invites, etc. When they click on that to join the meeting, it's actually going to be taking them to our Zoom call, so that's perfect. And they'll be added to the list of attendees and removed from the list of registered. So that's how they end up in this bucket here. You can do further things on the call if you want to do a survey on the call, make a list for people that volunteer to take the survey, or post a link to the survey in the chat and then use a segmentation list on that link to add people to the completed the survey, didn't complete the survey. If you want to reach out afterwards and say, hey, make that survey for us. Lots you can do with completion for really shaping the customer journey in a way that feels personal, and all in all just makes it a little bit more fun to be a marketer, because you're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. You're, building your audiences and talking to different groups of people, providing more targeted help, more targeted support. And it's just one of the great tools in Pardot that I really enjoy using. That's it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned here for more helpful Salesforce videos from MK Partners. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.